Hey everybody, Jay here from Profit Pros. This will be our next episode of the Road to Profitability. This one's going to be a little bit different. We are going to be talking with a trader who's almost there. So we're going to see kind of what his struggles are, what maybe we can help a little bit. But Mr. Hood, he's very active in the chat. I'm sure if you are in Profit Pros, you definitely know the name. Now you can put a face to the name. Thank you for coming on, man. Do you want to just kind of first give yourself a little introduction, maybe what got you into trading, how long you've been in trading, and kind of what led you here?
Yeah, for sure, man. So yeah, I've been kind of around, kind of found Profit Pros through a couple other Discords, through the last couple years, kind of hopped through a couple Discords. I kind of got into really into trading. I hit the GameStop play.
Yeah,
It was fun. Um, but I learned that your first one's free, so I kind of just stopped.
yeah,
I was like, this is good. Like I know I'm just gonna lose it all, so I was good on that, But way long ago, I was really into Bitcoin, like right when it launched,
hmm
and so I had no idea what I was doing, but was attempting to read charts, attempting to figure things out, and I could believe like way too much in it being like actual money. Uh,
I saw you.
but
You froze for a sec. You
yeah,
froze for a
so
second after you said you found Bitcoin.
I was just saying I don't have any now because I was
Mhm.
all so deep. I was like, oh, this is like real money.
Yeah,
Just like spend it. And so,
yeah,
so none of that played out. So that's great. Feels great in retrospect. But I don't know, about a year ago, I guess I kind of was like, okay, we can get into this a little bit more, and hop through a couple discords,
hmm
found Profit Pros through you doing a live somewhere else.
hmm
And
How many Discords do you say you kind of found your way in and out of? Just like a million?
easy a million,
Yeah.
like so many. I paid for like a handful probably. And
hmm
you pay for it. You're like, what's behind this wall? And then you sit there and you observe for a while, and it's just all BS.
Yeah.
Like it's all the same. And you have some that have like zero activity that people pay money for,
Right.
$100, ridiculous. And then you have others that have activity but bring no real value to
Mhm.
yourself as a paying user.
Right.
And then you sit there, you try to follow analysts, you stack up analysts. I'm going to follow all these guys at once, which
Yeah. Good
doesn't.
luck. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, maybe if you have a giant bag, like you can, but like everybody trades different.
Mhm.
Everybody hits things differently, sees things differently. So then, you're like, okay, I'll follow this guy straight. And you try that, it doesn't work. The
Mhm.
timings are off. You miss your entry. You
Was
miss
this
the
with
one banger.
options or futures?
I never actually got into options
Oh,
after the GameStop thing. Yeah.
I think you're probably the first person that started with futures. I guess crypto, but you said, but yeah,
Yeah. I,
most
I
people go
like
options
observe.
to futures.
Well, so I started in options by like observing. I'm like, oh, I'll do this on paper.
Mhm.
And I started getting into it like that, following options, analysts like that. And it just never made sense with the
Yeah.
alerts. And then, the Greeks play against you
Mhm.
pretty fast,
Oh
you
yeah,
know. So I just never could commit,
yeah.
So like,
Especially, I'm sure like you try to follow people alerting SPX or something like that. They say like in the contract, and they're not cheap. They're like $400. They say I'm in at $400, and then by the time you click it, they're like, and we're all out. Who made money? And you're like, shoot, I just got in. I'm down 30%. And like they're selling.
right. And yeah, and you only have one probably, right? And
Oh yeah,
so
because I mean, if
you're
you're
like,
paying somebody to alert SPX, I doubt you're dropping thousands and thousands of dollars on their plays.
exactly, dude. And so you can't do that magic trim that gets you where you need to be
Yep.
and then hold that runner.
Or averaging
Or,
like most people do.
yeah. Or you're in like the grocery store and you miss that one alert that actually plays out.
Yep.
And then all the rest, everyone else you hit is like a loser.
Oh my God.
And
And then you see the recap and they're like, oh, well, we hit 400 on this one, but every other one was minus 60 or something like that.
oh yeah, totally, or like, then there's the big popular folks, that everybody raves about.
Mm.
You sit there and watch their trades and they're just massive average ends.
Yep.
And it just never seems like you get that entry that they got or anything like that. So
You
I
showed
never
me,
really could commit on options.
yeah, you showed me this thing where people actually backtest analysts. And the data is it was
Yeah.
very surprising that none of them are going to make you money if you just follow their alerts.
I mean, was it surprising though?
I mean, not really.
Yeah, I mean,
Like you
it's
said,
cool to see it
these are the
on
people
paper, you know?
charging $100 a month, and they have 1,000 people following them. You think they're doing something right,
Yeah.
but no.
Yeah. Well, I think what they're doing is charging people money, right? I mean, that's the
Yeah,
move.
right. Exactly.
Uh,
When you
but
first
yeah,
started,
so
sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, so hanging out around those discords, I found one that was closer to the futures.
Mhm.
And I'm like, what's this all about? I thought this is for, like hardcore people, right?
Right.
And then I started reading into it more. The easier to read, the
Mhm.
volume seems like it's much like faster, and then the whole prop firm thing. I
Yeah,
heard about
that's a
prop
game
firms
changer.
early, like, yeah, well, in the discords, or not discords, during the pandemic,
Mhm.
I saw prop firms, but they were like stock prop firms, and
Oh,
the
okay.
rules were huge, and everything. I was like, this is
Mhm.
like, what do you do? You just buy it a ton and then just let it grow at 20%, and
Yeah,
hope you
right.
win, like, how's this work?
Yeah,
I
exactly.
never really looked into it.
Mhm.
The futures props, or it's kind of like a practice account, but you have that actual seemingly obtainable goal there of getting a payout, and that's like what really drew me to it.
Yeah, and I mean, thank God for prop firms, or else 90% of people wouldn't be able to trade futures at all. Because I think margin requirements, you need like 50 grand or 25 grand to even mess with it, and that's not a good thing to do when you're starting trading. That's for sure. But
Yeah, totally. And I didn't want to deal with that.
yeah,
I have to explain why I lost all my savings.
yeah, right, exactly. You gotta go to your wife and you're like, so we gotta move, But
Oh, yeah, oops.
when you first started trading, like what style were you trading, or were you just following people without knowing what the hell was going on, or did you kind of know what was going on, or were you learning by following people?
You know, it's kind of like a shotgun approach, kind of a smattering. I think early on, following people, not you at the beginning,
Mhm.
but other folks were trying to follow, learning so much a day, so many trades a day, and again, you get that lag there with the alerts.
Oh yeah,
Um, and then the shotgun approach of throwing every possible line and indicator on and seeing what works. I mean, I still do that because
yeah.
of my and
Sorry, did
it's
you
just
start with
excites me to see.
you have like what? Let me guess, like RSI, MACD, probably like a stochastic something.
Not, I'm not into the oscillators. I kind of like some of the other stuff, but
Mhm.
I don't actually use those to trade. I have multiple like profiles that I kind of have, and so I'll just like throw up another one and be like, oh, what's this show? Does this give me any more confidence or correlation to like what I'm thinking?
Mhm.
I actually have a pretty blank chart right now, just like the J blocks and some
Mhm.
significant levels here and there. But yeah, I do flip back and forth. I mean, being kind of a computer nerd and everything, my true like even from the beginning of this, I'm like, oh, you could. There's people out there, there's quants that have turned all this stuff into algos.
Oh
I
yeah.
could figure this out,
Mhm.
and that's like some of this challenge of this all of really getting into it like that, So I flip back to this stuff to kind of see what like a machine can do.
That
Or
makes sense. But
there's a reason they're paid a lot.
until you start getting the really really expensive ones, they're not the best. That's for sure. And you know what I hate?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I hate about the indicators is you'll have four that tell you the same thing, that like the price is going to go up, and then all of a sudden the price just knifes like 4%. So like you can't really.
Yeah,
I guess if it's a confluence, you can use them, but you know how that goes, right?
yeah, it's tricky.
Mm.
If you probably just have to have a big drawdown, let it play out, and everything,
Oh,
back test
100%.
it and all that. But so yeah, that's kind of like the story, the shotgun approach. But one of the biggest things I feel like that I'm actually kind of realizing, I've been doing this for about a year now, maybe a little less. So I feel like I've gone through the motions pretty quickly. Um,
Yeah, 100%. Because most people, I think, they say like 2 to 3 years, unless you
right.
find the right, approach randomly or something like that, or get a teacher or blah blah blah.
Yeah, exactly. And then we have all the statistics again too of how many people fail and who are actually successful and all that.
Mhm.
But I think now in retrospect, the last couple of months, I've been realizing that I'm not actually trading what I see. I'm more trading what I feel, what I expect.
Oh,
like what I
100%.
want it, what I want price to do, not what it will do,
And we know that price
And
doesn't care what you think. 100%.
right, like that emotional trading just doesn't work long term, And then you couple that with the actual psychology and emotions that are coupled with it, um, and the feelings that come from that, of like, rage, like the revenge trading,
Oh,
or
100%.
feeling down because you did this and that, and blowing accounts or oversizing. I mean, I've done it all. We could talk about all of it.
Yeah.
Um, but
When you first
one of
started
the
when you first started, were you following people's sides based on like what they were trading, or did you just slap a mini on MQ every time they fired an alert out, or how were you doing it?
oh yeah, bro, I started all minis for sure.
Yeah,
It's more the one, and then you're like,
yeah,
oh, dude, look at all this money I'm making, and then the next trade it's like gone.
yeah. You make 2 grand and you lose 2 grand the next trade. And
Yeah,
were you taking like 50 trades a day, 100 trades a day kind of thing?
probably not that many, but yeah, definitely. I'm sure the questions get into it. We're kind of flowing through this,
Yeah.
but like, you know, when I get hit in the cheese, and so I'll like
Wait, hold on, I'm sorry. You
getting
froze
better
up.
at it now.
Hold on, you just froze up. You said
Man.
what did you say?
So getting stuck in the chop,
Oh, okay.
not realizing that I'm in the chop, and then just trying to make those trades and then not playing out. And then
Yeah.
really, getting that tilt on, really trying to like get back at it and trying to, kind of attack the plan
Yeah,
or really no plan.
the chop is brutal. I like I'm big on just staying out. Like if I see we're chopping, it's kind of like, guys, let's just not even bother with this. It's gonna one, you're gonna get stopped out both ways each time, and then two, you're gonna get stuck in it, and you're gonna tilt, and you're gonna overtrade, kind of like what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, the tilt's real.
Mhm.
And recognizing that, I'd say in the last couple months, I've really gotten a lot better, uh,
Now,
handling the emotional side of it all.
yeah, now you're kind of in that phase of trading where you kind of know what you're doing, but for some reason, like that last little step of getting that payout is just like eluding you. Have you noticed? Because you can get, oh, how, first of all, how long did it take for you to pass your first challenge account?
Um,
Was it pure luck?
6 months,
It's,
probably on pure luck. Big
okay.
trend day,
Yeah.
oversize into it, and
Pass it in
you're
one day
done.
kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah, great. But like 3 months ago, I probably like handled it pretty well. Where nice semi-consistent rounds. A couple good days.
Mhm.
But a couple of small trades building enough and everything. You
Right.
know, um, but I blew that one.
Yeah. Have
Dealing
you
with the
noticed,
emotional side of it.
have you noticed your trading is different on a combine than when you see that funded or express account?
So that's kind of where I'm at right now, dude. Is So I right now I have like three funded. I passed two, I don't know, 2 weeks ago, one
Yeah.
week ago maybe, and then I have a top step that I passed a couple weeks ago, and it's like this hesitancy, to really jump into it, to have like true confidence to really like
Hmm.
take it further,
Yep.
because it's kind of like I got put on a pedestal in a way. I reached this milestone, and now the next milestone is like this big jump of
Yeah. Oh my God.
the thing I've
100%.
expected this whole time. I'm like, this is what I wanted. But now it's like just this huge like hesitancy to really jump in and get going on it. The market's been hard right now.
The market, yeah, I mean, the market besides that, but just like I know my first couple of funded when I hit that first trade, I was like, oh man, should I do this? Should I? And then it's just like you missed the play, or you hop in late, or you chase, or you did a crappy trade, and the feeling's real because I almost feel like somebody's like watching you now because you're in the funded account. It's like there's a room of people like, is he gonna buy right now? What an idiot! Don't do it. And then you see your account go down $100
Totally.
on that first trade, and you're like, it's done. I ruined the whole account, even though you still have 1,900 in drawdown or whatever.
Yeah, it's that sunk cost fallacy, where, it's like, cool, I'm red already,
Yeah.
and then I've noticed that too, where, I really feel like it's all emotions. Like I'm
Oh,
like, all I
100%.
see on this, all psych, right? And so once I start seeing that red is when the bad qualities come out,
When
where
and
I'm
like
like,
real and
I'm going to
realistic,
oversize into this,
yeah, and like
and
we're both adults and like we have careers and like this is like work covers all your bills and stuff. So the way I think about it to kind of get over that hump is like what a ETF activation fee is, what, $80. If I mess up, I just lost $80. I'm not worried about the money. I'm more worried that it just took me 2 weeks and now I have to start over. So I think it's not even about the money. It's more just like you spent all this time to get here. Now if you blow it, you got to do it all over again and waste 2 weeks. And everybody in the Discord is gonna say, "Hey man, how's that funding coming along?" You're like, actually, we're working on another one right now."
oops, you bring up a good point, because I'm lucky I got a great job,
Mhm.
and we're it's all good, right? And when I started this, it was the idea of I'm going to make all this money, right? And you sit down on a calendar, you look at the almost like the max contract size, the payout number, the max payout per
Yeah.
every week,
Hmm.
and then you're like, cool, and then then you learn about copying. You're like, cool, if I copy this 20 across,
Oh my God, yeah. Like,
times 2 weeks, times
yep.
this, and you're like, dude, I can buy a Lambo by like February.
Easily, right?
You know? Easy, dude.
Yeah,
But and
it's funny because
it's
you see it
it's
on
funny,
Instagram. You see it on Instagram and Twitter,
So
and
what I've realized,
they make it look so easy. The people on Twitter and on Instagram, they're like, all you have to do is have 5 accounts, make $500 a day, and you can make 300 grand a year, clicking a button. And then they don't tell
right?
you that if you click the button the wrong way, you lose all those accounts. So
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
yeah.
they all blow up immediately. Like
Mhm.
I've been doing a lot of reflecting, since I got these funded and stuff, and the journey into these, like taking it all seriously. And I kind of realized that it's not actually about the money for me right now. It's about the challenge. I'm one of those guys that taught myself everything I know.
Yeah,
Both sides
100%.
of everything, trust the entire span, right? And this is the hardest thing I've ever done.
Really harder than like
Uh,
programming, all that kind of stuff.
oh yeah, dude, harder than being a parent. It's
Wow.
hella hard,
So,
and
since you are like I know you're a big self-taught guy. Did you like pay for lessons or anything like that when you were first starting, or did you kind of just wing it and like, oh, that doesn't work, let's not do that anymore. Let's try this now. Or did you go through a million YouTube videos, or how did you kind of get to at least where I met you?
yeah, I paid for a couple lessons. They
Hmm.
weren't that great. They were
Yeah.
cheap though. Again, with the
Okay.
whole prop firm, you're like, oh, whatever.
Right.
Uh, one was like EMAs, which don't really work very that great. All
Yeah, I
right, I
mean,
don't know.
they're there.
I can't figure it out. But I like seeing them touch. I still have the lines up. I'm like, oh, cool, that touched.
Yeah, well, I'm
Fancy.
sure I'm
Uh,
sure you went through the whole like EMA crossover and all that stuff in the beginning. Yeah. They make it
yeah,
seem so
totally.
easy. Well, if these two lines cross, all you have to do is buy, and then you're good. And then it crosses, then
Yeah,
crosses right back down.
yeah. You're like, oh, well, they didn't want it.
Yeah.
Reasons. Uh, but in some of the other education, I've kind of watched a couple videos. I like reading, so I read a bunch of websites and different
Hmm.
things, and it wasn't really. I kind of found you hearing about SMC and ICT all kind of like at the same time,
Hmm.
and yeah, his videos are really long, and
Oh
I
my
found like
God.
this.
It's
I
insane. I
found some
tried to
shorter
watch
videos.
I tried to watch like one of the videos and it was like an hour and a half long. And I don't think he talked about trading until like minute 50. It was like he's talking about his
Yeah,
girlfriend or something. I don't know what he was blabbing about.
not into it. Found some
Yeah.
better summaries. I found this like AI website that like summarizes concepts. Whenever I have a
Oh, okay.
question, I'm just like, and gives me a quick answer. So I kind of like some of that, reading that, and the SMC stuff is really interesting.
Hmm.
And then your J block strategy, it's pretty great, super simple, nice to draw. You
Yeah, I
know,
mean that's my whole thing is simpler the better, and that's one of the reasons why I made those videos as short as they are is because I tried to listen to that ICT guy's videos and I just couldn't. And I was like, if I'm getting pissed off, everybody else has got to be pissed off. So like, let's make a bunch of 5 minute videos and fire those out.
yeah, and I there's snippets in there, where I'm like, okay, cool, and then I'll go Google it and kind of try to learn a little bit deeper about it and how some of
Hmm.
that works and everything. Uh, Still trying to read those Al Brooks books. would love to be able to get through those and
Hmm.
learn about actual like price action, but
Right.
I don't know.
So now that
Some dreadlocks.
you're kind of it seems like you can get funded. I wouldn't say easily, but it's not like a huge challenge anymore. Like you're past the hump where it's like I hope I can get funded. It's like you can get to that point. So when you were getting your first funded accounts, would you blow them instantly? Would you keep them for a while, or how would that usually go?
Let me see here. So I have three now.
Hmm.
I think this is probably number seven. So the first one I got
Okay.
super fast.
Okay. So
Yeah, so it was like
you're really ramping up on getting them now.
yeah, I got Apex like really early, and that one
Yeah.
actually same thing happened to me. I was like, I can't do this like this. I'm just gonna keep it to the side. When I figure this out, I got this right. And then one day I was like, I'm gonna do it right now. And then like it was like one trade and went away.
It's
I was
it's
like, cool,
it,
whatever. It does.
it's so funny how you can with this trading in these prop firms that you can be like so disciplined, like, all right, I'm not going to touch this until I get better. It's going to be fine. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, this guy just alerted this long. Shit, let me hop in. And then you're like, and it's gone. I was holding that for a month. Took me, a month to get it, and then I just fucked up and pressed the button at the wrong time. And within 3 minutes, 3 minutes it's gone. It's so crazy to see that with futures trading for me.
Right, and yeah, it's great. It's so entertaining to watch myself just blow accounts like that. But like the Apex one, I already wrote off because I was like, they're never gonna pay me. Like I was like,
That's
they'll
true.
never pay me anyway. Like, why
Yeah,
would I even
right.
take this? So I bailed up. And then I had two other ETFs that I kind of like held for a while, kind of grew and lost, and
Mhm.
then the oversized revenge happened,
Yep.
and that's where I got caught in shop after watching a big move, feeling that
Hmm.
FOMO, and then it went away,
Yeah.
and so now I'm just kind of took some took some time, gave some retrospect, and just trying to see those patterns.
Hmm.
Um, I kind of I've worked with like CBT, like cognitive behavioral therapy, for a while, and
Hmm.
I realized it could be applied to trading, and it's kind of like a loop of like recognizing your action,
Hmm.
kind of like thinking about it, and then rethinking like the new action that you can take against it. So I've actually been working on that a lot, where I'm trying to recognize those kind of feelings where it's like, oh, I'm about to like size into this, and it's like
Yeah.
15 cons, and I'm like, why am I doing this?
Yeah. And
Like, what
I'm
is the
glad
feeling? What makes me want to do this right now?
yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because most people that are kind of in the part of the journey where you're at, it has nothing to do with trading. It's all like, it's like you said, it's this like the, why am I doing this? The psychology side behind it. Because I watch so many people that like, and you've seen it in the server, people come and go and they're like, this person knows what they're doing. How are they failing over and over and over again? But you just see the same self-sabotage, the spiraling out of control, the same thing over and over and over again. And if you could just recognize, like you said, why am I about to do this and not do it that one time? It'll snowball into the next time you won't do it. And then the third time you won't even think about doing it. And then the fourth time you'll glance at the chart and say, nope, this is usually when I blow my account. I'm just going to stay away. So do you think that you're kind of starting to recognize the patterns that you've been putting yourself through at this point?
I'm getting there, and I
Yeah.
think every time you do those actions, you're building a
Mhm.
habit, right?
Yeah.
And you start to knock down those cognitive distortions that you
Hmm.
have. I mean, I'm outside right now. We had a
Hmm.
1,000 point move this morning. Um, I don't need to touch it.
Yeah.
You
You
know,
touch some grass, right? Touch the grass.
there's some nice grass.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good change. I mean, I used through the winter, there was some days where things were moving. I was feeling that FOMO, and I'd miss like a ski day, and that's like one of my
Really?
biggest things. Yeah,
Wow.
dude. Like I love skiing too. So like
Yeah, and you're
it's a big
for
deal.
those who don't know, he's like I think he hit the slopes like every day for a 2 month period.
Maybe not that much, but I
Yeah,
do stack up the days.
yeah.
And it's it's nice to just realize that it's always there. You hear
Hmm.
people say this, oh, the market's always there. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, it's not going to go
But
anywhere. It's going to be there tomorrow, and that's something that I try to preach super hard. Is that like trading should work around your life. Your life shouldn't revolve around trading. If somebody asks me to go to the beach and I say no, I have to be on the computer for New York Open. This isn't what I'm doing that for. It's like, no, I'll do this, and then if I come home and there's a setup, I can take it. If not, I'll trade tomorrow. And I think that's another thing that a lot of people don't realize is like they have to hit every play, and especially being an analyst, you get messages like, "How did you miss that move?" And it's like, brother, I was at my pool having a beer. It was Friday
Right.
at 3 o'clock. Why are you looking at the chart right now? And I think like coupling that with noticing that you're making the same mistakes over and over again is just like the easiest way to get past the hump. And I've definitely noticed you're like, I'm about to do this. I should stop, right? And sometimes you still do it because like it happens.
I,
So, I wanted to ask, do you journal when you make these like decisions where you're like, damn, I did it again? Do you write it down and go back and reflect on it? Or do you kind of at this point just like, you're doing it, you just got to stop doing it?
so journaling is one of those things that I've said I will do this event. I will do this. I'll start doing this. I'll do
Hmm.
it tomorrow.
Hmm.
And I just haven't gotten there yet.
Yeah.
I'm kind of still in that place, but
Hmm.
like I don't know. 2 weeks ago, I think is when I blew that funded. Then I passed this over to the week after.
Hmm.
But I walked away that day feeling just so disgusted with myself, kind of just being like, like why, like. So I sat there and I kind of drew just the long short boxes on trading view.
Hmm.
There are a lot of boxes, bad plays, and just there looking at that, I'm like, this is disgusting, And so I went out and I bought a journal. I'm a big tech
Okay.
guy and I want to find the software for everything. So I
Well,
went out and bought a
there's
journal.
some paid ones where it would like automatically log your trades and stuff, but I'm sure you can probably make something.
Yeah, but I think there's something to be said about your hand to paper in this
Oh,
aspect,
agreed. Agreed.
And so that's so I went out and bought the paper. Like I've been putting it off forever because
Hmm.
I'm like, I'll find the tech solution. I'll do this. It'll be automatic and everything. But there's no real reflection.
Yeah.
And I think reflection is the part of the journaling that matters the most, not just looking on a piece of paper and being like, oh, look, I screwed up.
Hmm.
So yeah, once I get started with these fundeds, maybe it's tomorrow, maybe it's the next day, I plan on writing down every trade I take on them.
Yeah, and
And
and and
hopefully
blowing
it'll
a
fit. If it fits on one paper, I think that's the key. If I can fit it on one paper, had a good day,
yeah,
right? If I have to like turn the page, I'm like, this is too many
oh,
trades.
then it's too many
Like,
trades, yeah. And
you know?
I don't journal anymore because I typically take the same setups and I know if I'm wrong, it's just because like the market wasn't in my favor that day. But I will say that a lot of people, if you go back at the end of the week and you notice you did the same thing 3 times and it was negative every time, it's probably gonna make you stop doing it. And like I'll tell you, I left an order open on one of my top step fundeds the other day and I woke up and it was blown. Like you can guarantee I'm flattening every order every time I log off my computer now. And it's like those little things like you'll notice, like obviously that's a one-off, but you'll notice like how you say take a break after a trade or something. Like you'll notice your second losing trade of every day is when you just hop right back in a trade. And then you know what? You're not going to do that anymore. You're going to take your 30-minute break, your 15-minute break. Um, Now that leads into what do you think is typically your biggest mistake? Is it like revenge trading?
I got a couple,
Hmm.
I'm definitely not perfect. I would say one of my big, I have a couple decent ones that I could guarantee I'll blow an account with
Hmm.
where I'll feel pretty risky one day and I'll oversize and I'll probably miss that first trade. So then I might go for a double and then
Okay.
and try to hit that one again. And maybe I will. Or maybe I won't. Maybe I'll get really close and then I'll go for it again.
Yeah.
And then this is in a span of like 10 minutes,
Oh, and
15
see,
minutes,
always, it's
right?
always back to back to back to back. You never do it if you go take a break or like you said, go outside. You're not going to come back and like hop right in. You're gonna look for a setup.
It's a dopamine loop,
Hmm. It
right?
really
It's
is.
the same. It's a slot machine, dude. It's like sitting there and you're gambling at that point.
Hmm.
And I don't really gamble too much because I know I'm not great at that either because I have the same
Well, you know what?
problem
You
there,
know what's helped me
you know?
when I used to do a lot. I used to like imagine if my wife was standing next to me and I'm like, hey, I just lost $200. Should I hop right back in? Like she'd be like, get the fuck off the computer and go do something. And then meanwhile, if nobody's looking, you're like, okay, in, out, 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 and then blew your eval, buying another one. And then first of all, if you buy more than one eval in a day, you should stop trading because I know we've all been there.
I think 8 in one day is where I was at one day.
Top Step. I
It
don't
was
know
a
if they
sale.
still.
It was a big sale. And so I was like, cool. And I was like
Well,
hitting it like, and like,
if they have $10 sales, I'll sometimes just max con it, and then I'll be like, I got a $70 budget. If I can pass it, I can pass it. But Top Step has this thing. I don't know if they still have it, but if you I think if you bought more than three in one day, you got an email saying like, hey, we noticed that you bought three in one day. Like, are you sure you want to keep doing this? Maybe it's time to take a break. And I'm like, damn, if the company that's selling you is telling you to take a break, you probably need to take a break.
uh, here's the gambling hotline.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
you
exactly.
know,
I think they actually did have the gambling hotline number in there. But so you typically
it's
you
there's that, and then like I think that day I like had a goal too where I was like, I'm gonna pass this in one day. Like I
oh
really
yeah.
wanted to prove it to myself that I could,
Hmm.
and I couldn't. And I tried it again week two later and failed again. Did a couple, but I caught myself. And
Yeah.
then this last fund that I did, I nailed it one day. Actually, while I was
Nice.
walking,
Oh,
and I was like, my
I
wife was
remember
next
that.
to
Weren't
me.
you on your phone? You were on your
Yeah,
phone too, weren't you?
yeah. I was like walking somewhere with my wife, and I was like,
Yeah.
man, I just made like 4 grand, like 4 minutes. She's like,
Yeah.
what?
And
I
then
was
she's
like,
like,
yeah,
oh,
it was stupid.
and then she's like, real money, right? And you're like, no, not yet.
Yeah, and she's tired of hearing about it,
Yeah.
But
Well,
it's been a challenge.
it's funny that you bring up the 1 day thing, and I think that's such a bad thing with prop firms, is they say like, hey, you can pass this in 3 days, and then you can get paid out in 5 days. Where realistically, if you had like a small cash account, there's no way you'd be trading like this, like risking your whole portfolio over and over and over again. And that's what the prop firms, and then it's an endless cycle because I don't know how much money you've spent, but a lot of people they spend so much money where if they would have just learned how to trade properly and done good risk management, they could have grown a small portfolio over time. Not saying they wouldn't have blown it, but they wouldn't have just blown 50 prop firm accounts over and over and over and stuck in the same cycle. And then all these stupid rules and things like that make it harder and more frustrating. So like I'm not a big fan of the 1 day to pass, but I know why they do it because you keep blowing them, then you keep buying them. And then same thing with a lot of them where like
Yeah,
you get paid out this quickly, but you have to make 3 grand where realistically, if you're sizing properly and things like that, you shouldn't be making 3 grand in a couple days. And I mean, I'm sure you're falling into that trap where you're like, oh, I can get paid out. Let's see, 3 days, 5 days. In 8 days, I can have 3 grand in my pocket.
right.
Yeah.
And I've gotten better at that, thinking about it. Like
Hmm.
that's why I'm kind of sitting on these. I'm kind of like I know there'll be a day where I feel good
Hmm.
about everything,
Yeah,
and just the
exactly.
300 a day, I think is plenty.
And you've seen
And then start rolling that over.
like a few people in the server like they actually take that to heart and like you look at their P&L through the month and it's like $200 every day, and at the end of the day each account has 4 grand in it, where if you
Yeah,
try to do the as like get an instant payout, you probably blown it or you maybe gotten lucky, but you wouldn't have consistently $1,000. Like I'm saying, if I just said follow the system and I'll give you a grand cash every Friday, I guarantee you'd do it.
right. Yeah, exactly. And then just ignore like the ego part of it all, right?
Hmm.
I'm lucky that I think I'm just like one payout out, like where I cover my costs till over the
That's
year.
all. That's all it takes, literally, unless it's been years and years and stuff like that. But we only have
Yeah, just
we have a couple
scratch.
minutes left. So two more questions. You've obviously learned how I trade. Do you follow like outside analysts or things like that, or just blindly take signals anymore, or do you only like take signals if they kind of align with what you're thinking?
Kind of the latter, I'll follow you.
Hmm.
I've noticed in the lives like sometimes, it's I feel the pressure on the analyst side, right? Of being
Hmm.
like, there's people here, we got to do this.
Hmm.
And I'll probably take the first one, and maybe that one goes red, and then I'll walk away, and then the next one always hits, right? And
Yeah, of course. Yep.
it gets frustrating for me because I'm like, maybe I shouldn't have taken that one. I knew I should have taken that. And so it kind of reinforces the idea that I should rely on my own confidence about everything.
Yeah.
So I kind of like seeing the confluence between people.
Hmm.
I think the live chat gets me sometimes. Where you see other people getting into it that aren't analysts, and they're like, oh, I'm thinking this, I'm thinking long, and all this,
Hmm.
and they're not always right either.
Yeah, it's
You
always
know,
it's always funny to see like people in the chat room, and I'm like, I put my plan out there, and people are like, this, and I'm like, guys, no, please don't do it. But you're gonna do what you're gonna do. And
I
then,
think. you know, you asked me like, oh shoot, we got like 2 minutes, but you asked me before, like, what my style is. I'm finally realizing, don't fight the trend.
Mm-hmm.
Wait for the retest and
Yep.
continue the trend.
Yeah, don't try to catch the
And it's
reversal. Just try to just go with it, you know? Just be
right,
patient, go
and
with it.
that always gets me, you know.
Yeah.
So I've been trying to watch for that retest all the time and just play off that. So I
It's
think
so
that
much easier
works.
when you know which way it's going, so why would you try to fight it? And we only have 1 minute left, so golden question. Now that you're a year into it and you've tried a bunch of different things, what do you think the easiest thing for you to do or tell yourself when you were first starting to make your journey less stressful, quicker, or any of the above?
It's interesting because I don't really know if there's the magic formula for that.
Mhm.
I think you hear people say things all the time, and it's one of those things where you have to internalize the journey. You know, for me, it's the challenge. So I don't really see myself dropping out of this anytime soon.
Mhm.
But I do know that it's a road, right? And sometimes it gets bumpy.
Mhm.
It's not a smooth paved road all the way to whatever
100%.
mansions. Um, I don't know. I feel like I'm doing it, sticking with it, and making
Sticking
my
with
way
it is the
through.
most
So
important part. As long as you stick with it, you can't lose, you know?
maybe control the emotions and work on the psych more
Mhm.
than pay for indicators.
Cool.
But
Well, we're about to get we're about to get timed out. But Hood, I want to thank you for coming on here because it's pretty cool that you came on and you said you're not there yet, but you're working on it. So hopefully in a couple months I'll have you back on here after you've gotten payouts and we can keep talking. But other than that, have a great day, man.
yeah,
All
yeah,
right.
man, you too. Thanks.
Peace.